Hi, everyone. So for today's class, we will be continuing with our acrylic medium. So the materials you will be needing today is a, a palette or a surface to mix your paint on, and um, some paintbrushes, preferably in different sizes. So maybe a thicker one and a thinner one, for one for detail and one for applying the colors. And you'll also be needing a little cup of water for cleaning your brush, as well as, of course, the acrylic paint. Like last week, I will only be using three colors plus black and white. So I'll be using the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, to mix all the colors that we'll be using, as well as white and black. So this is pretty much everything you'll be needing, plus a pencil to do our sketching. So I'll give everyone a second to grab the materials. And you can also take a picture of our reference for this week. So everyone should take a picture of the reference. So hopefully everyone has the reference picture. So we'll be starting today's drawing. So first, we always want to sketch out what we're drawing. So we can start off by sketching out our owl here. So like always, separate it into basic shapes. So the head of the owl looks like a half circle. So I'm just going to sketch out a half circle here for the head of the owl. So you want to sketch lightly, because we will be painting over the sketch. So draw a half circle for the owl. And then we can try to find its beak and its eyes. So because our owl here is facing towards this direction, we can draw a little guideline off the center, curving that way, curving to the right. So this is our center line, and it's curving towards the right, indicating the direction our owl is looking at.
John,
Hi,
can
yes.
I come in there? Can I take a picture of the original?
Okay, yes. Okay. I will put the picture back up for
Okay.
anyone
Sorry
else who might
about
need
that.
it.
Yeah,
No, it's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Okay. So that we should put it in the middle of the page, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the owl's head should be in the middle of the page, like
Okay.
this.
Okay, thank you. Done.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so first we started drawing a half circle for the owl's head, and then we draw a center line down, curving towards the right side to indicate the direction the owl is looking. And from this line, we can find its beak. So the beak should start halfway up the half circle and curving to the right and downwards, like this. Like this shape. And then we can draw two curved lines on both sides to represent the mouth, the opening of the mouth. And then we can just bring down lines from the top and then a round line on the bottom like this. So in the end, it looks like a diamond shape. And now we will draw in the eyes. So the eyes are just a little bit above the center of the mouth, like about here. And then the left eye is is 1/3, is on like 1/3 of the face. And because we can because this eye is pointing at us, it is fairly round. We can see the whole shape of the eye. But this one is facing away a little, so it's kind of being blocked over here. So we can make the left side here a little flatter, and then the right side a little rounder like this. So you can see that it is a little bit smaller than the left side, and it is facing away to the right side. And then in the middle, it will just be another circle to show the pupil, like this. And then we can add a little bit of details, like there are some feathers over here that are popping out. And also this line of feathers beneath the beak. And then for the body, we can just bring a big line down here, like this. And then for the right side, it will be less curved. So it's going down a bit. So it's a straight line, and then curving in like this. We can also see the wing. So the wing starts off here and then curves down on the right side like this. So this is the wing. So this whole area is pretty much the wing. And we can also see that our owl comprises of two main colors. So it's brown and white. So we can also mark where the whites and the browns separate. So let's start with the face. We can see that there is a white, there is the outline of white feathers around the eye area as well as the beak area. So we want to draw in that. So like a little line above the beak. And then also above the eye. Do the same on the other side. Just basically wherever you see the white parts and a brown part meet, just put a line there. However much lines you need. And also down here, along the body, we see that there are a lot of white spots. So we can draw those in. Just make sure that all of your spots are following the same directions. And also, because the owl is round and not flat, um, the the spots along the front of the owl will appear bigger, while the ones on the side of the owl are smaller because it is curving away from us. So on the side, it will be smaller. Just mark small dots. And then it's gradually getting bigger. And you can also see that some of these follow the curves of the wing. So we can also do that. So it's curving down like this. And then on the front of the owl, so like the part that's not covered by the wings, are mostly white. So we can draw that in. I'll give Barry a second to draw this. So this is basically all of the sketching we'll need to do for this owl. And another detail we can add is the little bee flying over the owl. So we can draw a little head and then the body of the bee, and then a few lines for the wing. So try to keep your sketches simple. So now we want to start on the owl, on the painting part. But first, I'm going to try to mix all of the main colors that we see. So it's the background, which is a green color, and the owl, which is brown and have yellow eyes. So we will mix these colors first. Also, don't forget to peel off your paint if you have any on your palette, and then throw them into the garbage. So first, I'm going to mix the green color so that we have a background for our owl here. So that we're not just painting an owl on a blank canvas. So the colors we'll need for our green is blue and yellow. So I'm just gonna start off by mixing equal parts blue to yellow. But if you have the color already, if you have a wide selection of colors that you can use, please feel free to just use those colors. I don't, so I will be mixing it just in case some of you don't either. So first I'm just gonna mix my blue and my yellow. And if it's too dark, add more yellow. And if it's too light, add more blue. So mine is too dark. So I'm just gonna add a little more yellow to the mix. So this is a pretty light green color. And it looks pretty faded in the background. So what I have now is I've mixed a pretty dark green color like this. So now to make the actual color of the background, I'm just gonna start adding little bits of white until I get to that exact shade I want. Now I'm just adding white. So try not to add too much at one time so that you don't accidentally add too much and get a color you don't want. And you can always put your color up to your reference to see if it looks like it. So I think I got a pretty close color here with this green. So it's very, very, it's a light green. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my light green color and I'm just gonna color around my owl. We want to do the background first so that we don't accidentally cover any details afterwards by trying to add a background. So just color up to the owl's head because if you look at the reference, it turns lighter, lighter until it fades into white for the background. So that's what we want to do. Just color around the owl. And don't go too far up. Just right to the head of the owl. So now I'm gonna start mixing the color above the green, which is a very, very faint grayish blue color. But it's like very white, but it almost looks gray. I mean, it almost looks like a little bit blue. So what we want to do is we want to put some white and then add a very, very little bit of blue. Like very, very little bit. Don't try to add too much. So just mix that a little bit of gray into the little bit of blue into the white color. So that you still have a white color, but it just has a little bit of faint blue. So this is the color I got. So it's very white, but you can faintly see a bit of blue in it. And what we're gonna do is we're just going to mix it until, paint it until it sort of mixes together. If you cover your B, that's fine. The B is a very small detail that we can add on later on. But just try to mix it together. Add a little bit of water if you feel like your acrylic is getting a little too dry and hard to mix. So just blend the two together. And then continue adding the white color on top. And then you can even add some more green down here to help the mixing. Like this. So I'm just going to leave my colors like this.
Right? Right. Yeah. Right? Right?
So now that we have the background down, we can start with the owl itself. So for the owl, we will be needing white paint. So if you haven't already squeezed some white paint, just have some white paint ready. And then we will also be needing black paint. Don't squeeze too much paint at once because we might waste it if we don't get to use them all. And then for our brown, we will have to actually mix them. So for the brown color, there are two shades that we should mix. So we should have a lighter one that is very orange looking and a darker one that looks very black. So just have two separate browns. Unless you have the colors, then you don't have to do this step. And also don't forget the yellow for the eyes. But we also need yellow to mix our browns. So I'm just adding some yellow to my red color. Also, don't forget to wash your brushes before you mix a new color. Make sure you wash it. Make sure you wash it well. And then I'm going to mix my yellow and my red, and it'll give me an orange color. If it's still too red, just add more yellow until you get an orange color. And then to your orange color, you can add some black. And then you'll get a very nice brown color. And you can also see if the brown is too dark, just add more yellow. If it's too light, add more red. So this is my brown color. It, compared to the reference, looks a little too red. So what I'm gonna do to fix that is just add a little bit of yellow. So this is gonna be my darker brown color. So now we need a lighter brown color. For the lighter brown color, still add some black to your orange. So again, mix red and yellow until you get a brownish color, and then you add some black to make an orange-ish color, and then you add some black to make it brown. But for the lighter brown color, we don't want a very dark and vibrant brown. We want to add some white to it. So we get that. So you get that like kind of beige color. So I added some white. To make a very light brown. So now that I have my colors, I'm going to start to paint using my light brown. So start with your lighter brown color. So I'm just gonna use my lighter brown and basically just mark the areas that have brown in it. So I'm going to avoid any areas that I marked for the white color. So I'm starting with my lighter brown. Try to use a smaller brush for control and also avoiding the white dots that we created. If you cover up any of the areas that you wanted to leave blank, that is completely okay. Because we can always go over it with white acrylic. So this is better than watercolor in that we can always go back and fix with more paint. So I'm leaving this area empty because this area is a darker brown. So I will just not cover it just yet. I will just leave it for the darker brown. And now I'm gonna go in with some darker brown. For the wing area, I'm also going to leave the edge of the wing blank because it is white, and it will also help distinguish where the wing starts. I'm now going to cover the other areas that are darker. Then I'm switching back to some lighter brown. So now I'm going to just leave the body details alone and then move on to the face, which is arguably more important. So first thing I'm gonna do is add a little bit of black to my brown. So I get a very dark brown. And then I can color this area underneath the beak. And I'm also taking my very thin brush and creating a black outline around the eyes. Making sure it's thicker on top. Now, I will take some dark brown and color in some of this area on the owl's head. And you can make little pockets of white fur, white feather. And you can paint the brown all around the head. Just leave a little bit of line between the brown and the background so that we can see that there is that the feathers on top are have light shining on them. And then this part of the fur of the owl has a lot of little white bits of feather. So what you can do is use a dry brush to slowly create the texture. And you can also add a little bit of white paint. To make these little bits of feather. Keep adding this light brown around the owl's face. And you can try different techniques like just blotting the paint on by tapping your brush, or just dry your brush with a paper or something so that you can just dry brush on the details. And now I'm going to mix a color that we haven't mixed yet, which is the beak color. So for the beak, it's mainly yellow, but it looks kind of gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some white to my yellow, and then add a little bit of black. And then what I've created here is that this very grayish looking white, looking yellow, like this. But this is a little too dark, so I'm just gonna add it on some of the darker parts. And then I'm going to make a lighter version. Now I'm just gonna add more white. So that's brighter. I'm gonna add some more of the darker color. So there is more contrast. I'm also going to add some white paint below the beak just to give it some texture to show that it is still feather down there. And now I'm going to add the yellow of the eye. And after that, you can fill in the center with black. You will have to be very careful with this and try your best not to color outside the line. You can also mix some yellow with the black right underneath the top of the eyes to create like a shadow that is being cast on the eyeballs. Try your best because this is kind of tricky considering these are pretty small details. So I'm just continuing on the face details. You can also try to imitate some of these feather lines if you have a very thin brush. And sort of draw these lines out using a brown color and then go over it with a white color so that looks more realistic. So using white paint against darker colors, like around the beak, like this, I'm able to create like a furry texture, just like how it's just the opposite of painting brown details on a white paper. And I'm also doing that on the outlines. So I'm just taking some white paint and just brushing it like very like slowly into the green background. So that it looks like it's actually soft, like that. So right now I'm just again doing the fur textures, slowly brushing white paint. Also do the same with brown wherever there are brown spots. Slowly dab or create small little lines to imitate fur. And now that our black eyeballs are probably dry, we can finally add the highlights to the eyes. So first, take some gray color. So mix a little bit of white with a little bit of black. So you get a gray color. So just white and black. And then you can take that gray color and just color it across the middle of both eyes. And then wash your brush. And take some white and paint it on the center of that. Like this. There's also this, you can also put some white on the outside of this yellow. So like right here on the outside of the yellow. This part is also has some white highlights and it's shining like that. I accidentally covered up some of my black, so I'll just paint it over. There are also some very dark fur above the eye here. And it's almost, it's very dark, almost looks black. So we can just take some black paint and draw it out. And if you accidentally use too much, you can always just go back over it with some white paint, like that. And this, do the same to the other side. There's just some black paint. And then there's some uneven fur underneath the eyes. So we can do that just by putting little black dots underneath the eye. So with acrylic, especially when we're drawing small with very small brushes, we have to try to simplify the textures because we can't draw every single strand of fur. We're going to have to try to simplify it in a way that it looks realistic. So sometimes you can use little dots or draw your brush and then brush it over like that so that you create this very rough texture. And also up here on the either sides of the beak, you can see the two little nostrils. So make sure to put some black there. Now I'm going to use the same method, or just add little dots of lines to make it look like fur. So I'm just taking the very tip of my brush, putting some black paint, and then just like put small lines, dab small little lines to make it look like fur. Just slowly adding it. And then we can do the same brown fur for the brown feathers. Just draw lines like that to imitate the feathers. So just like the groups of lines. You don't have to draw them everywhere. That's just simplify it. Just draw it in some places. And it is already enough to make it look more realistic. So I'm gonna do that some more. Just taking a lighter shade of brown, and I'm just going to draw in a group of lines like this. To show that this is feathers. You can vary the sizes and how frequent they occur, but we're definitely not going to draw them everywhere because that is too time consuming and oftentimes doesn't achieve that painterly effect. Also take some white to fill in any of the dots that we missed. So like here, I'm gonna put two small dots that I missed. And also here. Also along the wing. So time is up. And hopefully you were able to do a lot for this painting. So I'm also just going to leave it there. Hopefully you guys learned some techniques or just how to approach these types of paintings in general. If you would like to show everybody your work, we would love to see it. And if you miss something at any point, you can take a look on the live stream on YouTube. So just little lines or little dots to simplify the feathers. Don't draw every detail. That usually makes the painting look a little messy. Ooh, Angela did a very great job. Everyone can look at Angela's. Her owl has really great texture.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very nice. Very good. And you also did a lot in this short class, so good for you. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining. If you want to take a picture of my owl, feel free to do so.